Hey, it's me. Welcome back. Welcome back to talk about movies and movie stuff. So let's get right into what I watched in the month of February. So let's begin. First, what I watched in the month of February was Rec, a random watch, and the rewatch. Whenever I rewatch Rec, it feels like a new watch for me because Rec is still a very good horror movie that feels like an actual horror movie, and it's just what a horror movie needs to be. The horror visuals effects look quite good, just like the last part of the movie where it was all shot in the dark and in night vision, and the characters is surrounded by a creature with a really scary design. It is just a very scary, very well scary scene. Overall, everything in this movie is great, and I think we could all agree. If not, that's okay. The plot and writing, the actors, and everything, the pacing is just great. I'm giving this movie an 8 out of 10. No other explanation to this, you just need to watch it. I mean, Spanish horror movies are so great. Well, not just Spanish movies, other foreign language horror movies as well. Next, I watched Orion and the Dark. I was expecting this to be a mid movie with nothing really that interesting in it, but this movie subverted my expectations. The movie did become interesting. The characters feel kind of mild. I mean, not really that important like Orion. And the Dark and the other entities are kind of interesting. They represent nighttime occurrence, such as noise, quiet, dreams, and falling asleep, and the dark, obviously. Orion is just a boy who's afraid of everything, and the dark helps him with his fears of the world in kind of a non-interesting way. This movie's like Bo's Afraid, but not really. This is DreamWorks' Bo's Afraid. What I do like is the background design and background light and dark transition. That was a very good thing to look at. And the cloudy backgrounds that look like an ancient god poster. You know, those kind of paintings. Sorry if I call them posters, they're paintings. But yeah, it looks great. The backgrounds in here look great. I enjoyed all of them. The story is also great and unexpected. I was not expecting this to be like a time travel kind of movie. There are some parts where we cut to Orion as an adult, explaining the story to his daughter. His daughter time traveling from the future to Orion's past, where this movie currently takes time, even when Orion is an elder and his daughter is all grown up, and his grandson time travels as well. It was an unexpected thing to see in this movie and a good surprise. The voice performance is great. The lead voice actor was pretty enjoyable, who was played by Ike Barinholtz. And the Dark sounds like Seth Rogen, but isn't. It's actually Paul Walter Hauser. Overall, I think I enjoyed this movie. It's not great or bad. It is enjoyable. I do really enjoy it. I think this is better than anything I've seen recently from animation, and probably better than what Disney or Pixar is doing. And I'm giving this a 7 out of 10. Next, I watches The Possession of Michael King, and this movie is bad, funny and laughable movie that doesn't try to be scary. Even when it tries, it doesn't really achieve in being scary. It has the same reused horror scares and effects, like Michael screaming at the camera and this loud ass noise, devil yelling noise, comes out of nowhere. It's very like repetitive and not really scary. Michael doesn't even try to act scary. There's a part where he puts a camera on the side of his face and the TV projecting the camera. It is pretty laughably bad. That's all I have to say about. It's pretty bad setup and doesn't make it look scary. Michael makes pretty dumb decisions throughout the whole movie. He continues with this possession, and at this point he should have stopped, but doesn't. The story is simple and not really important. Michael gets possessed and dies. There's lots more in this movie that's just bad and crappy. Horror effects and visuals, acting is mid, and basic story and bad sound designs. I'm giving this a 3 out of 10. I don't recommend it. Then I watched Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is a very mid slasher movie that feels like every other slasher, but this time it's Thanksgiving themed, and it's not Christmas nor Halloween because we already had those. It has some generic filmmaking decisions, such as the main character having her phone facing up, and for some reason she sees the killer's reflection behind her. The kills are kind of funny, and there are some good ones in here. The funny one was the part where the lady gets inside the trash and gets cut in half by the lid. The good kill was in the parade scene where someone in a turkey costume gets his head cut off in public and the boat goes into someone's head. I was debating if this movie is better than Scream. I mean, the kills were, but still a generic slasher like Scream. I mean, the kills in here were kind of better than Scream, is what I'm saying. Characters are unlikable. That's all I have to say about the characters. I don't think I root for any of them. There is a villain reveal, and I kind of knew it. I mean, with this movie, another good thing about this movie is that it does make you guess who the killer is. I think this is probably Eli Roth's second best film. My first favorite is Cabin Fever, and better than Scream, I should say. So I'm giving this a 5 or maybe 4 out of 10. Next I watched is The Marvels. I was expecting this movie to be lame like everybody is saying, and I was unsurprised that it is because it was. This was the most lamest, boring, and messiest movie ever. I just have no words for it. It's so unclear and messy written. There's even a musical scene in here that was so out of this movie. I mean, it's so unnecessary to have in this movie, and I was questioning what am I watching, making it clear that this movie is a joke. There's bad performance in here. The one that stands out is the most is Zayn Ashton. Her performance is really bad. I mean, it looks like she's trying, but she's still pretty bad and just feels like she didn't need to be in this role or in this movie. I think she deserved to be in something better. Positive things about this movie might be the visuals. It looks fine. It's also I also like the Beast CGI cameo in here at the end, the end credit scene. Iman Vellani brings good energy and it looks like she had a good time in this movie. I would like to see her in other good films than a Marvel movie. Overall, it's a bad movie, and it's messy and lame and bad. It's the biggest Marvel fuck up, and it was a flop. Wasn't received very well. I'm giving it a 2 out of 10. I wouldn't recommend it. It felt like a waste of time. This movie is like an hour, like the shortest Marvel movie, and yet it feels like 2 hours. Next I watched is Meet the Robinsons. I watched this movie a long time as a kid, and considered fine and good, but watching it again recently as an adult, I was like, wow, this is very fantastic. The story is very good. It has a lot of time travel from Lewis' past to his future. There's some okay characters in here. The family is funny, but not great. Lewis is fine. He wants to be a scientist to invent machines, but fails and keeps trying. He is always told to keep moving forward, and that quote becomes used a lot in the movie and is the theme of the movie. It's not a bad thing to teach. It means if you failed once, then you should move forward and not be stuck in the past or in the failure you went through. It was a really good stuff and I liked it. Goob, who is Mike Agubian, I don't know if I'm saying it right. I really like this villain. He's someone who is still stuck in his past and not moving forward from his failure. He time travels to Lewis' past to ruin his science invention and name it his own. But I say this movie is good because it has a villain twist, and that may not sound good, but I think this has probably my favorite villain twist of all. The real villain is actually the hat, who was invented by Lewis in the future, and it turned against him and finds Mike Agubian to control him and plan his way to destroy Lewis' machine. And later on it's revealed that the hat tricked Mike, was using him and build a civilization of hats. So it sounds ridiculous, but it's still good. It's like a story of AI ruling humanity and rejecting ideas that aren't meant to be built. The adoption lady is great. She's supportive and cares about Lewis to get adopted. But overall, this movie is great in my opinion. The story did feel creative and interesting again. Funny and heart-touching moments from beginning to end. And I definitely recommend this movie. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. We need more movies like this, so please, Disney, make more movies like this, please. And then I watched The Holdovers. I was anticipated to watch this movie. Heard a lot of good things about it. I heard it was nominated for an Oscars and had good ratings. So I watched it and I think this movie was enjoyable throughout the whole thing. It has a pretty good story and writing, character writing, and a lot in general. The three main characters have really good chemistry and connection, which felt like a sweet thing to watch. There's pretty funny moments here. I had a good giggle in this movie, a part where Angus dislocates his arm, and it's just a funny thing to look at. Paul and Angus are both funny and entertaining throughout the whole movie, and I don't want to leave out Davine Joy Randolph. She was also great in this movie. Everyone else was, and everybody did well in this movie. This movie also has some good choices. The only good choice in here is the music. There was really good music choice in here, not gonna lie. So yeah, I really enjoyed this movie from start to finish. I was not expecting it to enjoy it, but I ended up loving it. I definitely recommend it, and I would give it a 7 out of 10. Then I watched Poor Things. This is another movie I was anticipating. The trailer got my attention about how great it looks. I finally watched it and it was actually good. This is a very decent looking movie and very well written movie overall. Everything is great. The cinematography is great. I love the color palette in this movie. The shots are so great. The peek hole shots are random, but I appreciated them anyway. I love the world design. Set production looks great. The background sky shots are stunning. The coloring of it is just everything, it's beautiful. The music in this movie is so good. The score is like something I never heard of before. It's just a really good soundtrack and has more better scores in here. The performances here are great. They were amazing. I mean, everybody is amazing. Emma Stone is so fantastic in this movie. She puts best effort and is really talented. I mean, she looked like she was really committed to this role and she did really well. Mocking a mental illness and having an infant brain inside her and shifting to a smart developed woman is a really great way to develop a character. I will get into the story soon, but I want to say that everyone else in here in this movie was amazing as well. Mark Ruffalo, William Dafoe, Rami Youssef, Margaret Qualley, and everyone else involved in this movie is also great. It's also a career-changing thing for Mark Ruffalo since I see him as Hulk in Marvel movies. So that's pretty good for him. Hope he gets more roles like this and more roles other than Marvel movies. The writing is also great in this movie. This is the best told story movie. It's like a fairy tale, like a inappropriate, risque, and twisted fairy tale. The story is a surgeon scientist who finds a dead pregnant woman who committed suicide. He removes her brain and replaces it with her baby's brain, then brings her back to life. And throughout the whole movie, she explores the world and other things, and her mind starts to develop from a dumb baby infant brain to like a well-taught, developed woman. She explores violence, anger, sadness, learns about new things like reading and sex. It's like the story of Frankenstein and Pinocchio. It's really inspiring and really, really well made. Like, the writer, you see he put effort into this movie, writing this movie. He actually cared and felt really inspired by those. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing to see. It's also, I think this movie is also better than Pinocchio, I would say. Overall, it's a really good movie in general. Charismatic, funny, and creative. Like, it is just amazing. Probably one of my all-time favorite movies as well. I absolutely love this movie. I would recommend it to you. You should probably watch it because you will love it. The story, you will pay attention and you will love it. You should just watch it. And I'm straight up giving it a 10 out of 10. Alright, so that was it for what I watched in the month February. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.